They have made thralls of soldiers and civilians both.
Did I miss much? So that is how you fight in the Far East. Mental note, pick no quarrel with Domans. But seriously, if I am to keep up, I must needs forsake elegance for efficiency. To the Aetheryte!
You'll forgive me my lateness.
I've been something of a liability of late, I know. 'Tis high time I set about making amends.
Long have you shriveled swordwalkers, tormented our kind. But no more! Your time is at an end! You shall perish with salt in your wounds and sea in your lungs. Lord of the world, hearken to our plea. Lord of the world, deliver us from our misery.
Do you feel that?
I know this sensation. It's the echo.
What? Such power! It is transcendent! will. It is futile. I have mastered the gift. I am eternal! O mighty Leviathan, ruler of the seas, born of waters primordial, I offer unto you this frail flesh, that you might grant your faithful servants deliverance. I beseech you, come forth!
Die, damn you!
Foolish shorewalker! You cannot kill that which is eternal!
Heavens forfend. Damn it all!
My being ebbs away. But it should by right be infinite. Am I not immortal? Curse you, emissary! You promised me everlasting.
Where did he go?
What say you? Nary a single ship? Hells take that sea demon! Gather the survivors and get to shore. Leave the wrecks for the pirates. Leviathan wastes no time. The diversionary squadron is lost. For a mercy, 'twould seem the Primal now makes for open sea. But why does he not press his advantage? Unless... God save us! He means to unleash a tidal wave. There used to be a hamlet beyond South Tidegate in western Lanosha. Hearthstone, 'twas called. Some years prior to the Maelstrom's founding, Leviathan rose from the briny depths and set about unleashing watery hell upon us. On that occasion, the company of heroes put him down before he could do too much damage. But when the bastard came next, this time in the wake of the calamity, we were not so fortunate. Weary of ravaging our shoreline, he summoned a tidal wave which fair leveled Hearthstone and washed the soil away for good measure.
The area was subsequently occupied by the Sahagin.
Aye, the thrice-damned creatures transformed it into a spawning ground for their brood. Given the quantity of crystal stolen to feed him and his legion of thralls, we can be fairly sure that Leviathan is stronger now than in his previous incarnations. If that sea demon is left to wreak havoc, what befell Hearthstone may well befall a larger settlement, even Limsa. That cannot happen. The Primal must be stopped.
That was ever our objective, Admiral. But how are we to achieve it? The sea is Leviathan's uncontested domain. The ships of the 3rd Squadron could not close to within 100 yards of the Primal, nor could their cannons pierce his defenses.
I have read the reports, Master Thancred. Our warships may as well have been bloody pleasure barges for all the good they did. 7 hells! Is there no way that we might strike back?
The company of heroes defeated Leviathan, having first lured him into an inlet, but we must needs contend with him upon the open sea. It will avail us little to consult past experience.
Admiral, if I may.
Speak freely, Marshal.
By all accounts, Leviathan's most formidable weapon is the very sea itself. Waves and whirlpools, tides and currents, all these things are his to command. The key to victory, I believe, lies in disarming our foe. This, in effect, is what the company of heroes achieved with their ruse. We cannot lure Leviathan from the sea a second time. But what if we could weaken his hold upon the element of water? I have heard of devices capable of such wonders. They draw upon the power of corrupted crystals, I am told. If mounted upon a ship, such a device might be used to prevent Leviathan from bringing the full force of the sea to bear against him.
Of course! Sid built a similar device to grant the Enterprise safe passage through Garuda's Tempest, did he not?
Begging your pardon, my lady, but to give credit where it's due, this is something I heard from an old arcanist friend of mine.
It makes little difference who thought of it first, so long as it works. Beg the specifications of this device from your friend, and I shall pass them on to our people at Naldic and Vermelis. But before we proceed any further, I would voice one concern. Piercing Garuda's defenses is one thing. Suppressing Leviathan's attacks, quite another. In matters of science, I am as a babbling babe. But I cannot well imagine that such a feat would be possible without a veritable mountain of corrupted crystals. The question being, do we have a ship big enough to bear such a burden?
Mayhap not, Admiral, but two might. Recall you the tale of Mistbeard's greatest haul? It is said that he lashed 2 ships together, side by side, the better to bear his plunder. By your leave, we might attempt to repeat the trick. The gods know it would be quicker than building a new vessel.
Mistbeard did this. Truly, Marshal, upon the subject of the Pirate King, you are as a scholar.
Now, from what I have gleaned of these matters, the device will need to be in close and constant proximity to the target. To wit, we must lash our twin vessel to Leviathan. This in itself will be no small feat. Ramming speed will be required, but given the weight of the cargo, that will only be attainable with the aid of a towing vessel. Suffice it to say, the task of piloting said vessel will entail considerable danger, and I would not ask it of another. I volunteer myself.
'Twill be dangerous for all involved, but we have no better recourse. Very well. Commodore, assemble the remnants of the fleet at Morabee Bay. Give priority to our soundest vessels. The repairs can wait. Storm Marshal Slafierson, command of the operation is yours. I want that twin vessel ready to sail post-haste.
At once, Admiral.
And then there is the small matter of slaying the beast. The fate... Lominsans are sworn to strive, till sea swallows all. And swallow all it would have had Leviathan prevailed. That we still strive now, we owe in no small part to you. Not for the first time, you have delivered Limsa Lominsa from the wrath of a primal. Never has our nation known a stouter ally. On behalf of my people, I give you my humblest thanks. 'Tis meet that I give thanks to old Mistbeard, too, for his fine solution. Whatever else he may have been, 'tis clear he was a resourceful soul. Would that I had a man like him in my service.
Before I set foot in these lands, I had no inkling that the people of Eorzea contended with such mighty foes. Suffice it to say, their existence came as something of a shock, as did the idea that they could be defeated. This experience has served to remind me of the vastness of the world and the boundless potential of man. Though I am but a refugee in this realm, I would fain be of use to you in your fight. Know that I am tutored in one of the foremost combat arts of the Far East. It may seem outlandish to the Eorzean eye, but should any of your people care to learn, I would be pleased to initiate them.
And I will see to it that they are grateful. I have no doubt that your knowledge and skills will serve us well. Besides, your art is not so outlandish as you think. Would you not agree, Master Thancred?
Naught escapes your searching eye, Admiral. Few are privy to this information, but Limsa Lominsa is home to a certain secret fraternity. Its members are trained in a form of combat not unlike your own. By my judgment, it should not be beyond such individuals to adapt to the techniques I witnessed you employing with such admirable deftness.
I am heartened to hear this. I too noted a kinship between your style and mine own, though it seemed to me that you fought differently in the beginning.
I suppose I did. What can I say? I'm a man of many talents.
Though you may labor to believe it, Thancred was once something of a scoundrel who fraternized with the criminal class in these parts.
Yestola! You jest, of course.
But for a chance encounter with Alphino's grandsire, he might never have left Limsa Lominsa, or received an education in Sharlayan, or taken up his post in Uldar, which is where he trained in the blade, lest you wonder.
Minfilia, please!
It would seem there is more to you than meets the eye, Master Thancred.
Lady Yugiri, I am told that you and yours came to Eorzea seeking permanent resettlement, and that many domins have since been engaged as frontier hands at Revenant's Toll. Moderna is many things, but a place... Know that I would like nothing better than to furnish your people with a new home here on Lominsan soil. Alas, yet I'll not have it said that we turned a blind eye to your suffering.
We are in your debt, Admiral. I realize that it scarce qualifies as repayment, but if it please you, I shall set about sharing my martial knowledge with your people at once.
You wished a word in private.
The better not to spoil the festive mood. History repeats itself, Admiral. As the kobolds did before them, the Sahagin resorted to summoning their god over a territorial feud. They acted in self-preservation. It may be that the Sahagin initiated this particular clash, but how it begins does not interest me so much as how it ends.
I have not forgotten our conversation, Y'ashtola. I am aware that man bears part of the blame for the Primal's existence. Nor am I ignorant of the Sahagin's reason for acting. They sought to secure a place to breed and multiply that their kind might survive. Self-preservation, as you say. But we have as much right to live and thrive as they. If our own survival is threatened, are we to lay down our arms and welcome oblivion? Nay.
And so you kill, that you might live. Yet if living is a right, then that right belongs to all peoples, be they men or beastmen.
I'll not deny your reasoning. But when a storm gathers, it falls to me to see my people safely through it. That is my duty, and I shall do it.
As must we all, Admiral. Stay the course then, but know that it will lead to no good end.
Man has ever put himself first and foremost. To justify his actions, he clads himself in the armor of righteousness, though it be a fancy of his own making. In this, mayhap the Garleans and we Domans are not so different.
Eorzea has become as a raging sea. If we are to keep our heads above the waves, we cannot scruple to drown the man next to us. When hopes of coexistence founder, strength must determine who has the greater right to live.
I have been reflecting upon the events which took place during our visit to Vilbrand. If you have a moment, I would share my conclusions with you. Please, bear with me. When the Sahagin Elder summoned Leviathan, he employed the power we have come to know as the Echo. Though I cannot well explain the how of it, it would seem he became immortal in so doing. When the Admiral subsequently slew him, his spirit emerged from his lifeless flesh, a consciousness shorn of physical form. Thus transfigured, he took up residence in the body of his minion with the ease of a man donning a favorite glove. Long have I known that the Echo allows one to pass through the walls of a man's soul, but never did I imagine that it could free us from our own flesh, nor less that our souls could then occupy the next corporeal vessel to take our fancy. It was of this that Elidibeth spoke, an existence which knows neither cessation nor oblivion. And yet, Though the Sahagin had mastered his gift and thereby become immortal, he was by no means invulnerable. As we both bore witness, he was ultimately absorbed into Leviathan. And the import of this observation? If the Ascians' mode of existence is indeed the same, it can be inferred that they too are not invulnerable, that they can be destroyed. There exists a legend which tells of souls who are reborn upon the cusp of each umbral calamity, that they might stay the encroaching darkness. To most, it is but a fairy tale, yet recent events have given me cause to wonder, could the legend in fact refer to the Echo? Much and more yet remains unknown, but I am confident that all will become clear in time. For the present, however, what matters is that the key to defeating the Ascians may at last be within sight. With Urianger's aid, it is my hope that I shall fathom this matter ere long. Oh, I was just about to send for you, my friend. Is Artemis?
Grave tidings from the Sharlayan motherland, my lady. It doth concern our distant allies, the students of Baldessian.
What of them?
My lady, the Isle of Val, which for many years hath been the Order's home, is no more.
No more? Whatever do you mean?
I relate only that which hath been conveyed unto me by our agents. An etheric wave of the highest magnitude was recorded in the region. Soon thereafter, 'twas observed that the isle had ceased to be. 'Tis postulated that a magic was evoked, like in power to Ultima.
12 preserve.
If there are no other matters, I move that today's meeting be adjourned.
It is done, my lord. I... Forgive my impertinence, my lord, but these orders, I am uncertain as to what end they serve.
Revolution.
Come, you must have gathered by now that Tataru is given to exaggeration. As you can see, I am quite well. Ul'dah, on the other hand, is not. This riot was anything but an isolated incident. There is a restlessness in the air. Tensions long simmering are at last threatening to boil over. Ul'dah is a nation infamous for the great disparity between the wealthy and the poor. The majority of the populace accepts this state of affairs because they believe that every man bears responsibility for his own lot in life. To an Ul'dan, money is the foremost, and some would say the only measure of a man's worth. Small wonder that the wealthiest wield the greatest influence. So where do the refugees fit into this social hierarchy? What place is there for those who fled Alamigo and the destruction of the Calamity? Plainly, there is none. They have no wealth, no power, and no worth. To the Ul'dan way of thinking, they may as well not exist. Choosing to ignore their existence, however, is patently not an option. General Rauban and the Sultana understand this, which is why they ordered the Immortal Flames to provide the refugees aid and succor. Yet none would dispute that the expenses incurred by this policy grow by the day, with no end in sight. This has prompted more and more Ul'dans to question their obligation to aid these worthless wanderers. While more and more refugees have come to resent their treatment at the hands of the sneering citizenry. The manner of Lord Lolorito's refusal to grant the Dolmens asylum bespoke a disdain for all refugees, an attitude shared by the rest of the monetarists. And you may be sure they make no effort to conceal their opinions. It was only a matter of time before the refugees united in protest, nor is it any surprise that some among them would ultimately resort to violence. That the Immortal Flames should choose this of all occasions to engage in joint training exercises with the other Grand Companies. By the time they return, the situation may well have deteriorated beyond mending.
Commander Swift has kept us apprised of your recent activities. You've made great strides towards quelling the violence.
Despite our best efforts to determine what provoked this uprising, the truth continues to elude us. Have you uncovered aught which might shed some light on the mystery?
This information does not leave this room. The Syndicate's decision to reject the Doman refugees' appeal for asylum had lasting repercussions. A number of those displaced by the calamity claimed it was proof of a policy of discrimination. Together with a group of Alamegan refugees, they organized a series of demonstrations to protest against the Sultanate. Demonstrations which became heated, but did not descend into violence. Until a certain incident served as a call to arms.
A unit of brass blades sent to supervise a demonstration loosed arrows upon unarmed protesters. It was this atrocity which prompted the refugees to take up arms. I need not tell you what followed.
We assumed at first that the attack was born of a miscommunication. When emotions run high, they happen. But suspicions were raised regarding the unit's commanding officer, whom I ordered interrogated. Sure enough, our fears were soon confirmed. The dog confessed that a merchant had offered him coin to give the order. A merchant in the employ of Teleji Adeleji.
Teleji Adeleji? But he spoke in favor of the Doman's cause, and has ever seemed sympathetic towards the refugees' plight. Why would he do such a thing?
Know you of the Cartano Reclamation Bill? It is a proposal to annex the Cartano Flats so that refugees may establish permanent settlements.
When last I looked, that was disputed territory.
Aye. Some might even call it a battlefield. The destruction wrought by Bahamut was greatest at the Cartano Flats. That much is common knowledge. What is less well known is that his rampage laid bare ancient Alagon ruins, of which no record existed. There are certain differences of opinion as to how these ruins should be handled, which is why each nation maintains a military presence in the region to this day. Yet differ though we may, we are still allies. Therefore, in the interest of preserving the Eorzean alliance, we have reached an agreement. Any conflict which may arise during the course of military exercises in the region shall have no bearing on relations between our nations. In full knowledge of this delicate state of affairs, Teleji Adeleji proposed the Cartano Reclamation Bill. A shameless, bloody ruse which stands to benefit him in but one conceivable way. If successful, he will gain control over the disputed territory under the guise of assisting in the resettlement effort. And you can be sure he'll build an orphanage next to every Alagon ruin.
The man would threaten the unity of the Eorzean alliance and risk countless lives for personal gain.
He walks a path all his own, independent of any faction and beholden to none of his fellows on the Syndicate.
By inciting the less fortunate to violence, he hopes to convince others that the Cartano Reclamation Bill is the only viable solution. His sympathy for the plight of the Domans was not but posturing to gain credibility with the refugees. Of that there can be no doubt.
Forgive me, but what could possibly motivate Teleji Adeleji to go to such lengths? What is so special about these ruins that he would risk his position on the Syndicate, and, most likely, charges of treason against the Sultanate?
Omega.
Pardon?
An Olagon monstrosity, not unlike the Ultima weapon. Mayhap larger, we know not. It has yet to be fully excavated. Olagon inscriptions indicate that it was created to fell Bahamut himself. If accurate, it might explain why Nail Van Darnus chose to bring the Red Moon down upon the Cotonou Flats. Given the ends he went to ensure Eorzea's annihilation, destroying the one weapon which could stay the Elder Primal may well have seemed like good sense.
When first I bore witness to the power of the Ultima weapon, I doubted the evidence of my senses. And now you tell me there is another such weapon, one which could contend with Bahamut. Bahamut!
Aye, we were skeptical ourselves. Truth be told, until the Ultima weapon's existence came to light, we thought the inscription had been mistranslated.
At present, Omega is more akin to a fossil than a tool of war, having long since ceased to function. As such, its true potential cannot accurately be gauged. However, if someone were to restore it, as the Garleans did the Ultima weapon, I have little doubt that he would wield untold power.
Power enough to subjugate Uldar like as not, and the rest of Eorzea besides, which is doubtless why Teleji Adeleji yearns to have it.
That he should aspire to world domination. He who has ever walked 2 paces behind Lord Lolorito in matters of commerce.
'Tis in acknowledgement of his own limitations that he seeks this power. Woe betide us all should we allow him to have it.
Pray waste no time chasing rats. Only a fool would believe that secrets can be kept in Uldar.
It would seem the implications of the Sultanate's refugee problem are rather more far-reaching than we assumed.
Scions of the Seventh Dawn, on behalf of the people of Gridania, I bid you welcome. Your presence is of great comfort to us all in these days of uncertainty. I summon you here to share tidings of a most urgent nature. But a short while ago, the great elemental spoke, and his voice was clarion in its intensity. Ramuh is returned unto the forest. Scarce had his words ceased to echo in mine ears when we were visited by an emissary from Little Solace. Our guest informs us that the sylphs too have sensed the presence of the Lord of Levin. Though his exact whereabouts remain unknown, we may safely assume that the primal was summoned within the heart of the Sylphlands. Unlike the other primals you have encountered, Lord Ramuh is no raging avatar of destruction. He is revered as much for his wisdom as his strength, serving as both arbiter and guardian to his children. Given that we and the Sylphs found a way to share the Twelves Wood, it is my hope that this sagely immortal will be amenable to reason, and that conflict may be avoided. As you are with the power of the Echo, you are one of the few among us who may commune with a primal without fear of influence. I would ask, therefore, that you represent us in this most delicate of negotiations. The Twelves Wood has suffered enough. Upon this, we and the Sylphs, and I would venture Lord Ramuh himself, are in perfect accord. Let us not endanger our shared home by engaging in unnecessary hostilities. Dear friend, I beseech you, safeguard the peace which exists between our peoples. You have my thanks. Pray make for Little Solace, then. A member of the Order of the Twin Adder awaits you there. He will advise you on how to find the Lord of Levin. An ill wind blows through the forest. Yet, it is not only the Twelves Wood that flinches at its coming. All the lands of Eorzea shiver in dread anticipation. Have care.
Nora betrays thee, servant of hiding. Thou art the bringer of light, bane of Ifrit, Titan, Garuda, and Leviathan. I am Ramuh, guardian of the children of the forest. Thou tramplest upon sacred soil, bringer of light. By what right doth man intrude in this sanctuary of the sylphs? The Gridanians proffer peace? Their words are born of delusion, thine offer an insult. Thou speakest of harmony, yet carest naught for my children's desires. They did but wish to dwell beneath these boughs in solitude. Yet even that was too much to ask of man. Thus did they turn to me for succor. The sentence I pronounce upon thy kind is just. Gridanian or Garlean, it matters not. The good intent of one excuseth not the misdeeds of the other. Thy conflicts have brought naught but anguish and misery unto the forest. All blame doth lie with the darkness that resideth in the breast of man. Whence sprung this calamitous seed? In the beginning no such duality existed. Were light and dark given form when man was born? It would explain much, not least why strife and sorrow follow ever in thy wake. Thou canst not deny the urgings of thine own nature. Knowing that thy mere presence here portendeth tragedy, wilt thou persist in this pretense of peacemaking? Thou bearest the crystal which I bestowed upon my wayward charges. That they should entrust so precious a gift to thee. Thou standest apart from thy kin. Thou art the bringer of light, aye. But there is something more in thee. Very well. I shall consider thy proposal. Shouldst thou survive my trial. If thou wouldst champion the cause of harmony, I must have proof that thou art fit to play the role. Wither mine ire, and prove to me thereby that thou hast strength enough to stay the darkness which threateneth to consume thee. Yet if thou shouldst be found wanting, know that all men shall perish in the storm of my judgment. Come to me, bringer of light. I shall await thee on the field of battle.
Urianger, it is rare indeed to find you so far from a tome.
The Lord of Levin himself. Never till this day had I looked upon his visage, save in painted renderings made faint by time. Ever shall this scene remain etched in my mind's eye. Beg pardon, my lady. I must beg thine aid on a point of research. If thou art resolved to face Lord Ramuh, I would ask thy leave to observe the event.
taken thy measure, bringer of light. And I judge thee a worthy champion. The task of excising the sin that hath taken root in man's heart is thine. Shrink not from employing thy strength in service to the forest and the wider realm beyond. Like hungering shadows do the enemies of harmony gather, and meekness will but feed them. If man is to be delivered from the dark, it shall be by thy guiding light alone. Stray not from the path, for if thou dost, thy people shall be truly lost.
Thou hast slain the Lord of Levin, a regrettable but a necessary one. In witnessing thy struggle, a truth hath been revealed unto me. If I mistake not, it may yet prove a chink in the eternal armor of the Assyrians. But let us conclude our present business. I shall expound upon my findings at the Rising Stones anon.
You are returned to us, dear friend, and none the worse for bearing the heavy burden which I did press upon you. Most glad am I of this. I am informed that your efforts to negotiate a peace with Lord Ramu ended in conflict. Pray tell me, what befell? Ramu made trial of you? I fear there is truth to his claim. It is the darkness within us that attracts the darkness without. It cannot be denied that misfortune follows man. For evidence, one need only look to the conflict brewing in Cartano, or to the rising flood of refugees. Our shared struggle against the Empire should have served to seal our union. Yet the ties which bind the Alliance strain under the weight of gross self-interest. As the scars of the calamity begin to fade, so too does of common purpose. Yet now is scarce the time to forget our shared responsibility. If this new-sprung realm is to survive beyond its infancy, it must needs be nurtured by all. Eorzea must be as one. Yet I fear that dream is still far off. On behalf of the people of Gridania and the elementals both, I thank you for all that you and your fellow scions have done. Full oft have I been compelled to look to you for aid of late, and offered all too little in return. As leader of this nation, I shall endeavor to prove a more worthy ally to your cause henceforth. Lord Ramu has departed, yet the keening of this ill wind grows no less insistent. Voices of the forest, pray speak and I shall listen. What unseen evil begets this unease in my heart?
If everyone is ready, let us begin. Urianger, the floor is yours.
As all here assembled now know, in its final hours as our Order's headquarters, the waking sands did play host to a most unexpected visitor. I speak of the Ascian clad in white, Elidibus. Unwelcome though his presence was, his words that day did serve to confirm a truth long suspected, that the Ascians are eternal beings, to whom physical destruction is as a temporary inconvenience.
In the intervening time, Urianger and I have striven to discover a means by which the Ascians might more permanently be slain.
And 'tis my belief that we have found the thread that will allow us to unravel the twisted skein of their existence. In the moments prior to Leviathan's most recent manifestation, the Sahagin elder who summoned him was observed to undergo some manner of ascension. The etheric readings taken by Y'shtola at the time of this transfiguration have proven most enlightening.
The disruption to the flow of ether was sudden and dramatic. So tangible was the agitation, I scarce had need of my goggles.
The significance of Y'shtola's readings might better be understood in the context of mine own, taken at the instant of the Lord of Levin's demise. Unlike the Primal, the Sahagin was not subject to etheric dissipation.
Before discussing our new discoveries, it may benefit us all to recall what we know of etheric behavior. Let us begin at what some might call the end. When we who dwell in the material realm die, our spirits dissolve into the flow of ether and are returned to the ethereal realm. In turn, the restless energy which suffuses that plane streams back into our world, giving rise to new life.
"'Tis as the heavens did decree, the way of all mortal souls. Twixt this world and the next do the ethereal currents swirl, bearing the very essence of life. Thus doth the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth continue unabated."
Primals behave somewhat differently. In order to manifest and then maintain a physical presence in this realm, they must consume vast quantities of ether, most often in the form of crystals. Though they may seem to live, their flesh is but ether given shape. Thus, a defeated primal leaves behind no broken corpse. Rather, the essence of its form seeps back into the land whence it came, and the energy of its shattered spirit is called back to the ethereal realm.
And there it waiteth, till next the prayers of the faithful do draw it forth from the sea of ether, to take their offering of crystals and make for itself a new body.
Which brings us on to the third group, the so-called immortals. They exist in a manner all their own.
Quite. Even as the Sahagin elder fell to the Admiral's musket shot, I witnessed the release of an ethereal cloud, which immediately took possession of a nearby minion.
A soul that dissipateth not upon the death of the flesh.
The secret of life everlasting, and in the claws of a Sahagin no less. But I wonder, what would happen to one of these obstinate spirits should there be no suitable host for it to claim?
If mortal death entails a return to the ethereal realm, it seems doubtful that the soul of an immortal would venture there.
Nay, it merely withdraweth the distance, unto the shore of the ethereal sea, perchance, but no further.
Yes, it exists in neither this realm nor the next, abiding instead in the space that lies between them. The Ascians took control of Thancred by means of a crystal of darkness, an artifact which, if our theories are correct, serves as a gateway to the place I have just described.
I was hoping people had forgotten about that.
I am sorry, my friend.
For a mercy, the weary road of our research hath brought us unto an answer.
The Sahaga ascended to an immortal state, but he did not possess a crystal of darkness through which to flee this realm. Thus was he consumed by Leviathan. If we could entrap the spirits of defeated Ascians in like manner, and thereby deny them resurrection...
Therein lieth the path to victory. Thou art most perceptive, my lady. Only when we have trapped the bodiless soul within an ethereal prison can we hope to defeat its unnatural constancy. Thus might even an eternal paragon be consigned to oblivion.
These feats are, of course, far easier said than done. At present, we lack a viable means to entrap and extinguish an Ascian soul. Yet, I believe it to be possible. The pieces of the puzzle lie before us. We have but to put them together.
I will depart at once to convene with the sages of Sharlayan. Together shall we divine the steps by which our goals may be achieved.
I have the utmost Archon.
Beg pardon, antecedent, but I would raise one final matter. Even now, a Sharlayan survey party seeketh to ascertain the fate of the students of Baldessian. Their findings shall soon be known to us. Though you harbor feelings of dread, I bid you surrender not to sorrow, but abide instead in hopeful prayer.
I shall, Archon. Thank you.
Tell me, General, what think you of Alphino's bold endeavor?
I think it is more than bold, Your Grace. His organization would pave the way for a united Eorzea. Well do I understand his impatience, since facing the common threat of the Ultima weapon, our nations have seemed farther apart, not closer together. Considering the many problems we face, should we not be glad that someone else is taking the initiative?
We have all pledged our cooperation, yet the grumbling continues behind closed doors. Ul'dah is not alone in her duplicity. I myself have doubts as to the good this organization will achieve. With the inclusion of the finest soldiers of the 3 grand companies, it promises to be a fearsome military body. But whom will it serve? Even under the watchful gaze of the Scions, it is not unthinkable that such a force could perpetrate a great wrong. Does it not concern you that a significant proportion of its financial backing came from the coffers of the Syndicate? That those unprincipled worms might forge this extraordinary gathering of warriors into a private army?
I have trust in the Scions, Your Grace. They have spared us no end of trouble at the hands of the Primals. If they seek reinforcements, I deem it unwise to deny them. As for their finances, full many gave generously. And though our nobles proffered a sizable sum, their coin did not spill from the pockets of Lolorito and his cronies. And what of the presence of our stalwart adventurer friend in this endeavor? I doubt the Warrior of Light would betray our cause.
Yes, there is that, I suppose. Yet I have known people to change. Whether we will or no, the events of the age hurl us this way and that, like a dust devil skipping across the sands. Cannot be done about Kalechi?
I have explored all avenues available to us, Your Grace. But as Ul'dah law now stands, we lack the evidence to convict him of any crime. To arrest him on spurious grounds would only play into his hands.
He has all but committed treason, and yet we can do nothing? Then what good our government? What worth the royal house? How deplorable this mockery of justice!
Have faith, Your Grace. It is not over.
The incident with the new frontier hands? No, you need not elaborate. I have been following their progress with no small amount of interest. Brave men and women all. They do our nation a great service. The existence of a fortified outpost in Mordona will do much to dissuade the Empire from trespassing on Kurth's soil. Right glad am I that you have chosen to lend your support to this endeavor. Never let it be said that House Forton does not acknowledge the efforts of her allies, or her debts. 'Twas in the spirit of gratitude that I arranged for sundry supplies to be delivered to Revenant's Toll. That the shipment should chance to be waylaid by heretics is poor fortune indeed. Poor fortune, I say, yet not without precedent. If you would know the truth of it, these incorrigible villains grow more organized with each passing day. This new unity of purpose we attribute to their leader, Lady Iceheart. But though I have devoted significant resources to the task of identifying this woman, we have yet to learn so much as her birth name. What we do know is that the heretics speak of Iceheart in reverent tones, and would gladly embrace death rather than betray her. Such loyalty is rare indeed, and I fear to imagine what so committed a collective might achieve. The brigands have not yet been so brazen as to risk direct confrontation here in Dragonhead. Some few of their number have, however, been sighted not far to the west of here, and with ever-increasing regularity. A visit to Whitebrim Front may bring you the answers you seek. Will you brave the snows, knowing what implacable foes may lie in wait? Hallone's blessings be upon you! Though I take no pride in the admission, many of mine own countrymen are not so well suited as you adventurers to dealing with such foes. Were they dragons, it might be otherwise. But truly, I could not wish for a finer ally. You have done much for my house in the past, and I have no doubt but that I shall have cause to celebrate your deeds again ere long. To learn aught of value, pray return to me forthwith. A warm hearth and a warmer welcome shall be waiting for you. Your return is most timely. Of their own accord, my thoughts had turned to your task and the progress thereof. I confess my imaginings tended toward the grim and bloody. But you are here now, and I suspect such frivolous wonderings do little justice to the reality of your travails. Tell me, what did you learn of Iceheart? Indeed, and this transpired at Snowcloak? Of all the highlands, that towering wall has borne the worst of the region's brutal shift in climate. So inhospitable has Snowcloak become that we have still to survey the area in its entirety. Could its frozen heights conceal the heretics' hideaway? Mayhap a more robust reconnaissance effort is in order. Putting such considerations aside for the moment, we still know far too little of this Iceheart. That she is capable of commanding such a band of fanatics bespeaks natural authority, and no small measure of charisma. As much as I would like to fathom this mystery with you, the situation has grown beyond my personal purview. I am bound by duty to inform the Temple Knights and request that they bring this matter to its conclusion. Giving the glowing reports the new commander has garnered thus far, I am certain that they can be relied upon to take appropriate action. Though Iceheart's true identity yet eludes us, you have provided us with a point from which to begin. Sometimes it takes but a single stone to prompt an avalanche. On the matter of the stolen provisions, I have already made arrangements for a second shipment to be sent to Revenant's Toll. I could not well allow such an honorable venture to be undermined by one miserable setback.
Comrades, your presence here this day signifies the momentous choice that each of you has made. With your strength now pledged to the scions of the Seventh Dawn, you are beholden to no single nation. You stand as the vanguard for a united Eorzea. From this moment forth, I declare you Crystal Braves. Let us mend this fractured realm and face our enemies as one. Whether it be the Beastmen and their primals, or the conflict in Carteneau, it is plain that the nations of Eorzea cannot solve the problems which plague the realm. Thus does it fall to some few heroic souls to succeed where they have failed. Come! Take your place at the Scion's side as guardians of Eorzea, and together we shall fight for the freedom of all! For the freedom of all!
A rousing speech, Alphino. Or should I say, Crystal Brave Commander Leveilleur?
Please, Antecedent. The title is honorary. I shall not be leading the troops into battle, as it were. We are of the same purpose. Let us join hands and do what must be done to save this land.
The Scions stand ready.